Hey gamers, I want to preface this video by offering my sincerest condolences and sympathies to the family, friends, and peers of Chadwick Boseman, the man who played the Black Panther. Um, he was an incredible actor, an incredible presence on screen that held his own so well. Um, and I think that for the rest of, at least for the rest of the modern era, of our modern era, people are going to be talking about his characters, his roles for a for that time, for a very very long time. And I was very broken up when I found out that he had passed. And I know I talked about this when I was doing my live stream. Um, I didn't want to get into it because you get emotional for that sort of thing, and I felt it was unnecessary. But I think that there have been a lot of people who have been offering their concern, their condolences, and I can't, in good conscience, do this video without that preface. That was from the heart. So, Wakanda forever, and that's really what this video is going to be about. Now, for those of you who've seen my previous Mind of Maniac, you guys know that I took an idea and I turned it into a theme park. Or I should say, I took an idea and I made it as how it could fit, or I organized it in a way that as I could fit into a theme park. And you're welcome to watch that video if you'd like, or rewatch it. But essentially, I was inspired by the work of Dave Doggans, who is the host of the series The D-List, but also he has done essentially like he's done like an Armchair Imagineering series where he's talked about different concepts for how he could make Disney or Universal rides if he had no budget. I'm sorry, if he had all the budget in the world, like no limit on his budget. And I know that a lot of people have been talking about the fact that they'd like to see Wakanda, basically the Black Panther's country, represented in the modern era, in the modern Disney parks. Specifically, and this is really what inspired this video. Now, I have been thinking about this for at least a year and a half. But what pressed me to do this video specifically was a comment made by the famous comedian and actress Whoopi Goldberg, who I loved in the Sister Act movies and everything else. So we won't go on to her deus or anything like that, but she did make a comment that was picked up, and this is certainly her right to say it. And she said, they should really bring the Black Panther universe to the Disney theme parks. And with the passing of Chadwick Boseman, why not? Well, I love you, Whoopi. I was thinking the exact same thing. I really was. I've been thinking about this for the longest time. And the problem is in both, because we both want it. We all want, and I'm sure anybody watching this video wants it too. I don't think we can, because the theme park rights for the Black Panther, I think, and I've talked to several people about this, particularly Tony Goldmark, who calls himself some jerk with a camera. I brought this up with him at least, when I was starting to kick these ideas around 3 years ago. And he said it can't happen because Black Panther is considered part of the Avengers license or the Avengers roster. And that would have been purchased by Universal Studios when they made a full purchase for everything except for the Guardians of the Galaxy. Universal owns the theme park rights for, let's get started with this, the Avengers, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and all the Spider-Man characters. All of that is currently theme park righted, at least in the United States, at least for the eastern United States where Walt Disney World exists, by Universal. Internationally, I think Universal has the Spider-Man rights in Japan. and they have the national rights for Marvel, meaning like they can say Marvel nationally throughout the United States. But that's, I can imagine that if there were two places where the Black Panther would exist in the license rights, one would be either the Fantastic Four or the Avengers license, both of which are owned by Universal Studios right now. So maybe he's not. Who knows? But let's live in a world where, let's say, Disney acquires or reacquires those rights or decides they're going to use those theme park rights. Let's build Wakanda. Wakanda Forever. And this is how you're going to do it. I'm going to say, now sit back because I'm going to tell you exactly what I have in mind. I'm going to tell you exactly what can be done. And I'm going to tell you exactly how it needs to be done. Or it could work. Now, in the case of the Black Panther, and in the case of this series where I talk about, theme park things, the only binding thing is going to be reality. What can be done could be done. What is possible could be done. But we're not doing impossibilities. I can't just say, oh, and then you fly in a plane and then you land in, in an African nation, and that's been we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do anything like that, or you really launch into space. I'm gonna say you get in a simulator, or something like something along those lines, or we get on a set. They build a building. They decorate. They decorate. We're gonna talk about that. And the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to get the director of the Black Panther, and I believe Black Panther 2 on it, Ryan Coogler. We're going to need to call him up. Because the majority of the Wakandan design, the art design, this what this nation looked like, and Coogler was instrumental. I've seen interviews with him. He really made Wakanda feel real in that movie. And he literally said, you have to see food. He's like, if you see people eating, you see food, you see people working, it looks real. And he's right. I believed Wakanda was real. I'm sure many of you still believe Wakanda is real, which it very well may be. We won't talk about that. But let's just say we're going to take Wakanda and we're going to put it in Walt Disney World. First off, where do you put it? Epcot. Where do you put it in Epcot? The World Nations. There are at least 3 major plots left over from when Epcot was first built in the World of Nations that are currently sitting empty. Any of which they were originally designed, I believe Epcot was originally designed for 30 nations. When it launched, I think there were like 8 or 9. It might be, and over the course of time, even though they had plans for many other nations to be added, they never did. I think Norway was pretty much the only one that was added post. And Morocco, of course. Sorry, I can't forget Morocco. I believe that's pretty much it. So I believe that there's I think 12 nations right now. And I know for a fact that there's definitely space for at least 3 more. Israel has said no, they wouldn't be doing it. They wanted to get Equatorial Africa involved. That did not happen. The USSR, that did not happen, although the collapse of the USSR might have been a reason why. Spain, that didn't happen. So my point is that there's land there, and it does fit the theming. They wanted to have other than Morocco, like I said, they've wanted to have an Equatorial African nation in that World Showcase for quite a while. And in fact, actually, I've been told there are a couple of empty expansion lots which are currently African themed, with even though there's no nation there. So that would be a perfect spot to build. Now, what do you build? First off, make it look like Wakanda. You want to lay out grasslands. You want to lay out trees of native African trees. Again, just draw what they used in the films. That's how you're going to landscape. You can basically you can make it look 2 ways. One, you can have a front facing facade which will look like something out of a National Geographic documentary or something, Africa in the plains and stuff like that. If you whatever fit the disguised area of Wakanda. And then you have a back area further back into the expansion where you see the technological marvel that is Wakanda. They could have like fake flying ships or something and very technologically advanced buildings. So you show the two Wakandas basically. You see the Wakanda facade, you see the real Wakanda. That can be done. We've seen Universal do it when they did Diagon Alley, for example. Diagon Alley by itself looks like a London facade, but then when you finally move in through the facade, there you see the alley. That can be replicated here. I believe they used some type of barrier or something. So maybe they'll have like some type of. There's a lot of things that they can do to basically show a facade, and then as you move closer, you see more technology. And I think that would probably work easier. Just have one area and then another area, and then somehow make them mesh or transition, whatever works. What do you build in there? Build an education center, build an embassy. What do you base the education center on? Didn't Shuri say at the very end of the Black Panther film that they intended to build education outreach centers all across the world, starting in Compton, I believe? Epcot is the perfect place. Say that this isn't Wakanda, but this is where and then right next to the national outreach, have a Wakandan embassy to kind of the other nations have embassies. This is the perfect place to put. And by the way, there are designs for actual in-universe Wakandan embassies. If you've played Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4, the Wakandan embassy is in the game. It's in New York. It's actually a landmark in the game. And if you go past it at night, it lights up purple. It's really cool looking. Build one of those. It would fit in perfectly in Epcot. And then you're probably saying, well, what do you put inside of it? You can have a show, you could do a theatrical show. You could have an education center very similar to, let's say, the Jurassic Park Discovery Center in Universal Studios Islands of Adventure, where you could have tablets and AR games and stuff like that, or even VR games. These aren't rides. These are just this is just like activities and stuff. But don't call these rides. But the idea is that you could test out the Black Panther's armor, kind of like similar to how Disney did. You could test out Iron Man's armor and stuff on the Disney cruises. The Black Panther can, of course, make appearances with his royal guards as a meet and greet character. This would be the perfect place to put him. In fact, actually, Disney has already designed a effective Black Panther meet and greet costume. It's used currently in the Disney cruise and over at California Adventure in Disneyland Anaheim, and I'm sure they're going to use it again when they bring up the Avengers campus over in the other Disneylands in Paris or in Hong Kong and stuff. So let's not So Disney has these costumes ready to go. What else can they build? What else could be there? Like I said, you could have like a 3D effects show. You could, like I said, build a theater, any kind of theater inside there, and show a travelogue for Wakanda and come to Wakanda and this is my Wakanda, kind of like how they did the tour of China travelogue or the Canadian travelogue. This is like, we know that there have been snippets that were produced for promotion of Wakandan travelogues. They were only a few seconds, certainly less than a minute. But those can be produced. And again, Ryan Coogler could direct them if he's not busy. Again, he's probably still doing pre-production on Black Panther 2. So he might be busy, but he can certainly supervise any of this stuff. Now you're saying, well, I want a ride. I know you're going to say this, I want a ride. And I got a right idea. And this is based on, well, this, I'm basing this on reality. So you got, I'm not much on developing engineering from scratch because I'm not an engineer. But what I am really good at, I'm good at knowing how things work and taking how current things work and then just applying it to new ideas. And I would say build a simulator ride similar to Star Tours and Body Wars. In fact, you could probably use that simulator itself, the same simulator. And instead of having Star Tours playing on it, have it be a trip to Wakanda. Like, we're going to go up from the Wakandan embassy, essentially, and we are going to visit the real Wakanda via fast travel ship, which would actually be a simulator. You don't have to use 3D glasses. There's no reason to use 3D glasses. Just use a high frame rate screen, and the effect will be pretty good. For anybody who's seen Black Panther and remembers the plane that Edward Ross had to fly, granted he flew it via VR or AR, he flew it via hologram. But have it be, have your transport modeled after that transport that he flew, the one in the movie. Say you're actually getting into it and it's going to make a trip and you're going to fly around Wakanda from Epcot and you're going to fly back and you're just to see the nation for yourself. And along the way, something, happens. Maybe Wakanda is attacked, because you got to have something exciting in these rides. So you could have Wakanda attacked by the remnant forces of, Claw. Who knows if Claw is actually still really dead. Or another Black Panther villain can make an appearance. Or maybe something happens where maybe you show up during the Battle of Wakanda towards the end of Avengers Infinity War, and I'm like, oh crap, here. And now Thor is coming. It can be placed anywhere in the timeline, is what I'm trying to say. I think it could work. I think it would be a really fun idea. I think young people of all backgrounds would enjoy it. Everybody loves a simulator ride. Make it exciting. There's tons of opportunities to make it exciting. But again, I'm sorry, Whoopi. I'm sorry to everybody that really was I made excited about this. I don't think Disney has the right to do this just yet. At least not in Walt Disney World. At least not at Epcot. At least not yet. I haven't read the documentation or anything along those lines for Universal's contract with those characters, nor did I see whose characters were included in what contracts. As far as I know, the Black Panther has not appeared in any of the Universal parks, but maybe that's just because I didn't see him. Who knows? But it's a concern. I think this would be, if you were to make a Black Panther ride, a Black Panther experience, this is how I would do it. And this is what I would do. If you have any comments about what you think about my idea, post a comment below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time,